Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to Paths to Happiness. In this program, as you always know, that we provide you with Dhamma teaching that will help you deal with everyday life. So, to help us with Dhamma teaching, we have invited a venerable nun from Muthugala Anagarika Mahamana Monastery. Namo Buddhaya. So, as a topic for today, we have chosen something very interesting. We're going to talk about the rare moment. When talking about rare moment, Menin Mahansa, something that always comes to our mind is maybe for a mother, the kid getting graduated, or their children getting married and being blessed with children. And these aspects are the rare moments in normal people's life. Are these really the rare moment?
Actually, you're right. For the ordinary person, those kinds of things are what's considered the rare moment when your kid graduates from school, and to be able to see that, you consider it to be a rare moment. Or as you said, when you're blessed with children, to see your children, then that's considered a rare moment in life. Usually, for an ordinary person, we call it a rare moment if something happens maybe once in a lifetime, or even if something happens once a year. We consider it, it's not something that happens often.
It's driven with timing.
Exactly. Most of the time it is. So in the Dhamma, of course, the Supreme Buddha teaches us what's actually rare, and when you get to learn about the Dhamma, you really get to understand that those are really not rare moments at all. For example, in the Dhamma, a great teacher, the Supreme Buddha explains, Dullabho Buddhodpado Lokasmin. What it means is the appearance of Buddhas into this world is rare. And so for the ordinary person, it may seem as if the Buddha's teaching is here all the time. But the reality is Buddhas appear into this world very rarely. In fact, the truth is, the Supreme Buddha teaches us for the past, I think, 91 eons, for the past 91 eons, only 7 Buddhas arose in the world.
Yeah, it would be helpful to explain what is an eon for our viewers.
Exactly. Eon actually is a measure of time which I think the normal person is not very familiar with.
Yes.
The reason being, only a Supreme Buddha knows about this eon. An eon is a time of period where you cannot say it's 1,000 years or 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years. It's much longer than that, where we can't say we can measure an eon.
Definitely.
Exactly. So one day a bhikkhu came to the Supreme Buddha and asked, Venerable Bhante, what's an eon? And so the Supreme Buddha explained, an eon cannot be said in years. And so this bhikkhu asked, Venerable Sir, can you give us a simile? And so the Supreme Buddha said, yes, I can give you a simile. And the Supreme Buddha explained, suppose there is a city that's 7 yojanas long. Now a yojana is also another point of measure that was used like kilometers and miles.
Right.
So in the Supreme Buddha's time, what they used was yojanas, and what 1 yojana is about 7 miles long. Okay. So the Supreme Buddha explained, suppose there's a city that's 7 yojanas long, 7 yojanas wide, and 7 yojanas high. And this is covered with iron, with metal. So it's kind of like, it's a city, but it's covered, and there are sesame seeds inside, filled with sesame seeds. So we're talking about a huge area. And so the Supreme Buddha asked, suppose you take 1 sesame seed and remove it from that city once every 100 years. Okay, so once every 100 years you go and you remove just a single sesame seed from that huge
village.
Exactly. Okay, and so the Supreme Buddha says, by removing sesame seeds like that every 100 years, there will come a time where the entire heap of sesame seeds will be removed.
Yes.
Okay, and so imagine how long of a time that would take. And the Supreme Buddha explains that eon is even longer than that.
Wow.
Okay, so an eon is something that we can't measure with years. So the Supreme Buddha explains, for 91 eons like that, only 7 Buddhas arose in the world. And the truth is, there are some eras in time, some time periods where for thousands of eons, the Supreme Buddhas don't appear into this world. So we're actually very fortunate that we have actually been born at a time where Supreme Buddha has been born into this world.
Yes.
And another rare event the Supreme Buddha explains is Dullabho Manussata Patilabho, and what that means is getting the human life. Getting a human life is also rare. Now I think for most people, getting a human life is a very normal thing for them.
Yeah, it's basically taken for granted.
Exactly, because the reason being we don't understand that getting a human life is actually rare. For most people, I think they think if you're born as a human, you're always born as a human.
Yes,
isn't it?
True.
If you're born as an animal, you're always born as an animal.
Yes.
That's the normal way of thinking. But of course, our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, explains being born as a human being is so rare in the world. And to understand this, the Supreme Buddha explained us a simile. The Supreme Buddha explained, suppose this entire mass of earth is turned into water. There's like the great sea. And someone throws a yoke into the sea. Now a yoke is an instrument used in agriculture. And so this yoke has a hole in it. And so this yoke is floating in the water, and when the wind is flowing from the south, it's moving towards north. When the wind is flowing from the east, it's going towards the west. So it's flowing all around in this entire mass of water. And so the Supreme Buddha asked, and suppose there is one turtle under the sea, and this turtle has one blind eye. Okay, and this turtle only rises up into the sea once every 100 years. Okay, so the Supreme Buddha asks the monks there, what do you think, bhikkhus, what are the chances that that turtle who rises up into the surface once every 100 years would rise up and using his one eye that's actually working would see the sky through that small hole in that yoke? And what are the chances?
It's absolutely rare.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so the bhikkhus, just like you answered, the bhikkhus replied saying, Bhante, it's very rare. I think it'll be by chance that if it would ever occur. And so the Supreme Buddha replied, bhikkhus, no, that can actually happen. That situation can actually happen with time. However, if someone falls into the bad worlds, the chances of that person being born again as a human being is rather rare. Is even rarer than that. So imagine. And so the Supreme Buddha explained, if someone falls into the bad worlds like the ghost world or the hell world, the Supreme Buddha explains, in those worlds there is no opportunity to collect merit. It's with the weak is attacking the weak, and there's no opportunity for you to do good things and rise up. So because of that, the Supreme Buddha explains, if you fall back into those in those worlds, there's a very rare chance that you can be born as human beings. So us being born as human beings, we're very lucky that we have gotten that rare opportunity, isn't it? In fact, most people think if you're born as a human being, in the next life also we'll be born as human beings, but that's not the reality. One day the Supreme Buddha took some soil onto his fingernail, and the Supreme Buddha said, oh bhikkhus, what's more, the soil on this great earth or this small amount of soil on my fingernail? And the bhikkhus replied, saying, Bhante, the amount of soil on your fingernail is very, very little. It's a very little amount compared to the entire earth. And the Supreme Buddha explained, oh bhikkhus, just like that, out of all the human beings in this great earth, only a very little amount, like the amount of soil on my fingernail, are reborn again as human beings. The rest, like the amount of earth, like the amount of soil on the great earth, are born again in bad worlds. So in that also we can understand then being born as human beings is a very rare opportunity. So we must really make use of it. And there's another instance where the Supreme Buddha explains, getting to hear the Dhamma is also rare. Now I think especially in today's society, for the person who wants to listen to the Dhamma, he has the opportunity to listen, right? You can either read books or listen to a Dhamma talk. It's quite available. But the reality is, in this long journey of samsara we have been traveling, we haven't gotten the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma. The Supreme Buddha explains, in the samsara, the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma is also very rare. Now I think you probably have heard of the story where our great teacher, before becoming the Buddha, when he was a Bodhisattva, he was born as a king. He was known as Dahamsada, King Dahamsada, and he was someone, of course it's the Bodhisattva, so he's very wise. So although he was ruling the kingdom, he had this thought that, there must be more to life than this. So he was searching for the truth in life. But of course at that time there were no Buddhas born. So what he did was, he was in this great thirst to find the truth in life. He wanted to understand the reality in life, but there was no one to teach him. So since him being the king, he sent out a message to the entire kingdom saying, if someone can teach me the teaching of the Buddha. Of course he had heard that from time to time Buddhas appear in the world, but of course at that time there were no Buddha. So he sent out a message saying, if there is someone who can teach me the Dhamma of the Buddha, I will give anything. I will even sacrifice my entire kingdom if someone can teach me the Dhamma. But of course no one was there to help him out. So in that way, the story continues, but I just wanted to point out that there are times in this samsara where we
never get to hear about
exactly. So in that way, that's also a very rare moment. And another very rare moment the Supreme Buddha explains is being born as a human being with the ability to think, being wise. So what that means is having the ability to understand the truth about life, having wisdom. So as you know, not everyone in this world has the ability to understand the truth, right? So being born with that wisdom is also a rare moment. Now the Supreme Buddha explains, when all those rare moments come together, so that means if when you're born at a time where a Buddha has appeared in the world, and you're born as a human being,
and there is Dhamma in the world.
Exactly, there's Dhamma for you to hear, and you actually have the wisdom to understand. So when those factors come together, that's actually what's known as the rare opportunity. Now in Pali it's known as Shana Sampatti, Khana Sampatti. That's what's known as rare moment. So the rare moment is when those factors come together. So the appearance of a Buddha, the ability to hear the Dhamma,
and to be born as human being,
and to be able to think. So that when those rare moments come together, that's known as what the rare opportunity is.
Absolutely. It's very clear, Mahansa said, the rare opportunities versus the rare opportunities what we think to be true.
Exactly.
Which are mostly driven with the things that are attached to life, which is beyond our imagination. And now in this world we have 7 billion plus population, so they all are human actually. So do you think these all people are blessed with this rare opportunity? Do they all have this rare opportunity or the rare moment? Can we call that way?
Absolutely not, actually. You get this rare opportunity only when those factors that we mentioned above when they come together. So just because you're born as a human being doesn't mean that you will always get the rare opportunity. If you have to be born as a human being, and you need to actually hear the Dhamma, and once you hear the Dhamma, you must have the ability to understand Dhamma and form a pleasant mind about the Dhamma. So although you're a human, if those two factors don't come to your life, then you lose that rare opportunity. So just because you're born as a human being doesn't necessarily mean that you will get this rare opportunity. So what the rare opportunity means really is the ability or the opportunity for you to escape from suffering. That's what the rare opportunity means, because or else the audience might think, what's really the importance of the rare opportunity. When a person gets the chance to listen to the Dhamma and has the ability to think and understand the Dhamma, then that person has gotten the first step to being free from this samsara. So that's why it's so important. We must understand that. So now, as human beings, now that we have the opportunity to listen to Dhamma, we actually have the wisdom, not complete wisdom, but at least a little bit.
Yes.
We at least have a little bit of wisdom to understand. And so because of that, because those three factors have come together, we're actually fortunate that we have gotten at least something, at least some start to escape from suffering. So that's why, that's what the importance of the rare opportunity is. So not everyone in this world gets it, only a very few gets it.
Very few, as we can think of. There are so many other religion people that who are following different religion, that who don't get to hear Dhamma.
Exactly.
That actually gives us the idea in this long journey of samsara that we have lost this rare opportunity than we have gotten it, right? So actually the people being born as human itself does not assure you with that rare opportunity. So mostly we have lost this rare opportunity in the samsara.
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, really, if we actually got this opportunity and we made use of it, we wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
So, for example, those who actually got, when the Supreme Buddha was alive, those people who got to hear the Dhamma, those people who actually had the wisdom to understand the Dhamma, they actually made use of this rare opportunity and they escaped from suffering. They are not in this samsara anymore. But of course, we are still here today because we really didn't, either we have never gotten the chance, or either we missed it. So the Supreme Buddha explains getting this rare opportunity is rather rare. In fact, the Supreme Buddha in one sutta known as the Akkana Sutta explains to us, in this samsara that we have traveled, most of the time we have actually lost this opportunity. For example, the Supreme Buddha explains, if you're, suppose a Buddha has arose in the world, and the Dhamma is being taught, the Dhamma that leads to real happiness, to Nibbana, is being taught. However, that person, that being, is born in the hell world. So if you're born in the hell world, there is no way for you to listen to the Dhamma.
Yes.
There is no way for you to understand the Dhamma. Do you understand? In fact, to understand this better, there is in one sutta known as the Devaduta Sutta, the Supreme Buddha explains, oh bhikkhus, the warden of hell, there is the warden of hell, sometimes think like this. You know, these beings, after having done all these wrong things, are born in this hell world and they're suffering so much. Oh, I wish I could go back to the human world. Now, the warden of hell means it's a post for some time. He's just born. Exactly, he's just born in that because he has to suffer the karma, and then he can escape from there. But even that warden of hell sometimes thinks, you know, I wish I could escape from this suffering, and I wish I could be born in the human world and listen to the Dhamma. So you can see in the hell world there is absolutely no chance for you to listen to the Dhamma or understand the Dhamma. Or if you're born in the animal world, for example, that's the same thing. If you're born in the animal world, there is no chance for you to understand the Dhamma.
Once again.
Exactly. So as you know, there are dogs and cats and so many animals around us, but they don't have that wisdom. They don't have the ability to think. Although they hear it, they are not able to understand the Dhamma. So that's another situation where we lose the opportunity to understand the Dhamma.
Yes. So does the ghost world, isn't it?
Exactly, and the ghost world. If you're born in the ghost world, that's the same thing. You can't understand Dhamma. Now, people might think that, you know, we'll never be born as ghosts, or we'll never be born as animals. But absolutely, as we mentioned before, there's no guarantee. Although we have gotten this human life now, there is no guarantee that in the next life, when you close your eyes and open it again, you may have passed away and you may have been born in the animal world. You may have a tail and 4 paws, right? You never know. So if you're born in those bad destinations, you have no chance of understanding the Dhamma.
Yes.
And another situation where you lose this opportunity is if you're born in the human world and the Dhamma is being taught, but you have the wrong view in life. Okay, so that's known as Miccha Ditti. That means you don't you believe in a different
beliefs and
exactly
yes.
different beliefs and different ideas in
yes.
life, you don't actually understand the truth, and you're not ready to understand the truth
yes.
or even accept the truth in life. So if you're such a person, I think if you take the present society for example, I think most people in this world are in that category.
yes.
Although the Dhamma is being taught, they are not ready to accept it, they are not ready to believe it and understand it.
And they're already clouded with their own thoughts and beliefs.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So if that's another situation, that although Dhamma is here, although you have gotten the human life, you lose the opportunity.
It's a loss of rare opportunity for
Absolutely. And the Supreme Buddha explains another instant is there are some areas in this world where bhikkhus and bhikkhunis and upasakas and upasikas, that means lay people, never go to teach the Dhamma. Okay. If we take the entire world, for example, there are some countries where this Dhamma is not even heard of, and some people don't even know that a Buddha has arose in the world,
yes.
right? So if you're born in such a area, in such a country, then that's the same thing. You're born as a human being, and the Dhamma is being taught. However, you never get to listen to the Dhamma. So that's another opportunity where you lose the you lose the rare opportunity.
That opportunity is taken away from you when
Absolutely.
you are clouded with others.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And the Supreme Buddha explains there are some situations where you're actually born at a time where the Buddha's teaching is there. However, you're a human being, but you don't have the wisdom to understand. It's another problem now. For example, suppose you're someone who has been born with a mental disability, right?
Yes.
There's no opportunity for you to understand.
Yes, even though you are born as a human being.
Exactly. So you're born as a human being, and sometimes it may be that you actually, or your family has actually gotten the Dhamma, but because of the lack of wisdom that you have, you can't understand.
Yes.
That's another opportunity. That's another instant where you lose the opportunity. Or sometimes, or the Supreme Buddha explains there are some instances where you're actually born as a human being, and you actually have the wisdom that you need to understand, but during those times a Buddha has not arose into the world. So you're a human being, you have the wisdom, but you don't have that click that you need for the wisdom to arise.
Yes, and actually with that we will have to go for a short break, and we will continue with the loss of rare opportunity after this. Welcome back to Path to Happiness program. We've been talking about the rare moments, and actually before the break we have been talking about how do we lose this rare moment. So it would be again good to recap these the aspects that we spoke about. How do we really lose this rare moment?
Yeah, we're talking about the points that the Supreme Buddha taught us in the Akkana Sutta.
Yes.
So in that sutta, the Supreme Buddha teaches us there are eight situations where we lose this opportunity. And the first the Supreme Buddha explains is when the Dhamma is being taught. If someone is born in the hell world, there's no chance for that person to understand the Dhamma. And if someone is born in the animal world, that's the same and then the ghost world.
Yes.
So if you're born in those bad worlds, you don't have the opportunity to get the rare moment in life.
Yes.
And then the Supreme Buddha explains another situation where you lose the opportunity is if you may be born as a human being during the time where the Buddha's teaching is available. However, you're someone who has different ideas and beliefs. You're not someone who accepts the reality in life.
Yes.
Okay, so that's known as having the wrong view in life. And another instant is you may be living in an area where the Dhamma is not being taught. That is, the monks and nuns or lay people, they don't go to those areas to teach the Dhamma. I think if you take the world, for example, most areas are like that. Because of the globalization, a lot of people are able to hear the Dhamma, access the Dhamma, but in most areas there are no monks or nuns to teach the Dhamma.
Yes.
And the Supreme Buddha explains another instant is you may be born as a human being, but you don't have, and you may actually have the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma. However, you don't have the wisdom to understand the Dhamma. So that's another opportunity where you lose it, exactly. And so those are some of the situations where you lose the opportunity. So then the Supreme Buddha explains, then the actual opportunity is being born as a human being in this world, and at the same time a Buddha has also arose in the world, and the Dhamma is being taught, and you have the wisdom to understand. So if those factors have merged, that's the opportunity. That's the Supreme Buddha explains, that's the only opportunity, one and only opportunity for you to enter the path to escaping from this samsara. So if we take this samsara, for example, most of the time we have been losing the opportunity. Now, to illustrate that point, I'll give you an example.
That will be helpful.
Yeah, one day our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, was going on tour with Venerable Ananda, and our great teacher saw a piglet immersed in mud. Now, when the Blessed One saw this piglet, the Supreme Buddha smiled. As we know, when the Supreme Buddhas don't smile always. They don't smile.
Special.
Exactly. Only at very special occasions do Blessed Ones smile. When Supreme Buddhas smile, something special happens. What happens is a ray of light twirls around the Blessed One's head once and disappears. So then everyone around knows that something has happened. So of course Venerable Ananda was behind the Supreme Buddha, and so Venerable Ananda asked, Venerable Sir, why did you smile? Blessed Ones don't always smile, so what's the reason behind it? And so a great teacher replied to Venerable Ananda saying, Ananda, did you see that piglet there? And so he replied, yes, Venerable Sir, I saw it. And so the Supreme Buddha explained, Ananda, this piglet, during the Kakusanda Buddha's time. Now, Kakusanda Buddha was born few eons before our great teacher, Gautama Supreme Buddha. When Kakusanda Supreme Buddha was born, this piglet was born as a hen at that time. So you can see what a journey of what type of journey we are traveling.
Yes.
Exactly. So during the Kakusanda Buddha's time, this piglet was a hen, and this hen apparently lived near a monastery at that time. So in that monastery, there were monks who were chanting the Dhamma, and so when this hen heard the Dhamma, now, as you know, when we hear chanting, we feel like calm and peaceful, right?
So just to that rhythm and the tune as
exactly. Well. So when this hen heard this sound, she also had that calming feeling, that she experienced that serenity and that peacefulness, and she formed a pleasant mind about it. She didn't understand it, but she formed a pleasant mind about it. And so as a result of that, she was in the next life, because of the accumulated karma, of the merit, she was born as a human being in the next life. So when she was born as a human being, she was born actually in a very, she was born as a princess, so in a royal family. Okay. Because of that merit, forming a pleasant mind about the Dhamma. So she was born as a princess. Her name was, I think, Ubbari, and so she was born as a human being, but she wasn't able to hear the Dhamma. So she didn't get to hear the Dhamma at that time either, because the Buddhas there were no Buddha at the time. We don't know, or the Dhamma simply wasn't in her area, I guess you could say.
The loss of rare moment.
Exactly. So one day what happened was, when she was walking around, she saw a sewer pit, and she saw how worms were infested in it. And she suddenly got that perception of foulness, and she developed the meditation on foulness. So you can see how intelligent she must have been. She had the wisdom at that time, but she didn't hear the Dhamma. So on her own, through her own wisdom, she saw those worms, and she understood the foulness in life, foulness in the body, and she developed meditation to the level of attaining jhanas, meditative absorption. So imagine how clever she must have been. And so because of that, because of the development in meditation, in the next life, she was born in the Brahma world. So if you develop your mind to that level, you're automatically born in the Brahma world. So she was born in the Brahma world, and she spent the lifespan in the Brahma world, and in the Gautama Buddha's time she was born again as a piglet. But the reason being, she didn't hear the Dhamma. She wasn't able to take the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma. So as a result, she wasn't able to become established in the Dhamma. So you can see, when traveling in the samsara, then this person lost the opportunity at each time. When she was hen, she couldn't hear the Dhamma. She didn't get
she could hear the Dhamma.
She could hear she couldn't understand it.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
And then when she was born as a human being, she couldn't hear the Dhamma.
Yes.
There was no one to teach her.
Yes.
And then she was born in the Brahma world, and then when she was born at a time where Buddha was around, when the Dhamma is being taught, she's born again as an animal. So again she lost the moment. So that's how we are traveling in this samsara. So that's why we must realize that this opportunity that we have gotten, don't think that we'll get it again. We really shouldn't think. That's why we must really try to make use of this opportunity and understand, at least understand the rarity of this opportunity.
That actually brings me to my next question, that we all can be now happy that we are born as human and we have little wisdom to understand Dhamma. And now we are discussing Dhamma as well. So we do get to hear Dhamma. Then there are so many people in this world who have access to Dhamma. So does it really give us a guarantee that we will not lose it again?
Absolutely not. No, that's the danger. Just because we have gotten this opportunity now doesn't mean that we won't lose it again. Because if we were born again in the next life as an animal, then what's the chance that we'll hear the Dhamma again? So absolutely not. Just because we have gotten this opportunity doesn't mean that we won't lose it. Now, for example, you can take is during the Supreme Buddha's time, there were people who heard the Supreme Buddha's Dhamma through his own, through the Buddha's voice. They were blessed enough to hear the Dhamma through the Blessed One's voice, but there were so many people who didn't take that opportunity. And some people, they got to hear the Dhamma from the Blessed One himself, and some people got ordained. That means they actually had the wisdom to at least understand the Dhamma to some extent. That's why they got ordained, right? So they got ordained, but they didn't make use of it. For example, if we take Devadatta, for example, he was the brother of Princess Yashodhara. So after he got to hear the Dhamma, he actually formed a pleasant mind, and he became ordained. So he left all the household ties, and he let go of everything that he had, and he became ordained. And then during the beginning, he was a good monk. That means he practiced the Dhamma, and he practiced the Dhamma, and he developed meditation to the level where he actually got absorptive jhanas, absorptive levels of meditations. However, after some time, he wanted to take the control of the Sangha. So he wanted to get gain and honor and all those things. Exactly. So because of his attachment to those things, he forgot all about this rare opportunity. He forgot about the samsara, that we are traveling in this samsara. And so as a result, he did all those things to get in control of the Sangha, and he didn't respect the Buddha, he didn't respect the Dhamma, he didn't respect the Sangha, and at the end he ended up going to hell. So at the present moment, he is now suffering in hell. So someone who was alive during the Supreme Buddha's time, and
even related to that
even related
family.
To the Supreme Buddha. Exactly. So you can see that in this life we are living, the opportunity for us to lose the opportunity is more than guaranteed. Do you understand? And the other thing is, those who are listening might think, now that we are born as human beings, now that we actually get to hear the Dhamma, then in the next life, although I don't get to understand the Dhamma in this life, then in the next life I'll come back again as a human being and I'll develop it further.
That's actually a habit that you always keep on postponing.
Exactly, procrastinating, right? Exactly. So if you do that, that's actually not going to work. That plan is actually not going to work. The reason being, we're living in time period where everything is deteriorating. as you know, the society is becoming more and more corrupted, and people's human qualities are decreasing at a fast pace. And if you think that this Dhamma is going to be available when you're born again in the human life, in the next life, that's absolutely not true. Little by little, this Dhamma is going to disappear, and there will come a time where just like we mentioned in the beginning, no word of Dhamma can be heard.
The loss of rare moment.
Exactly. So because the more and more all those other wrong beliefs and wrong views are what's becoming more and more powerful.
Exactly.
Because the reason being, we're living in such a deteriorating world. Although we think the world now is so developed, it's only the aspect of technology that's developing. The human goodness, the human qualities are all deteriorating. So if you're born again in the next life, you may be born in another religion, right? So if you're born in that in a family who follows another religion, then you'll be following that religion.
Yeah,
you have
left with no choice.
Exactly. So you would never get to hear the Dhamma. So you must not, because of that, you must not procrastinate. You must try your best to make use of this opportunity as much as you can.
And also in one's life, what we always see is you actually wait till you grow old until you really finish your day-to-day work and you take care of your children, and then only when you become a grandmother or a grandfather do you really practice Dhamma, isn't it?
Absolutely. Actually, I think that's a method a lot of people use nowadays, but that's a very dangerous thing, because you never know when you will die. What guarantee do we have that we will die only when we are 78 years old, right? If we take today's society, we can die at any moment, right? So because of that, we must, as much as we can, we must try to make use of the moment today, this very moment, because there's no guarantee that we will even live tomorrow. There is absolutely no guarantee. So we must understand the danger that we are about to face, and so make use of this opportunity.
Yes, and even the young people would also postpone that, having the ability to think and act right now.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a very good point. Being young, you actually have the wisdom.
Yes.
And when you grow old, little by little, what happens is that wisdom
fades away.
Exactly, fades away. And the merit you have to understand the Dhamma is also fading away. Now, to give you an example, during the Supreme Buddha's time, there was a couple. They were of a noble family.
Yes.
Okay, so they had so much money. I think close to 40 million golden coins. They were very rich, and so they led a life. They didn't do a job. They just used the money that they got from their family, and they enjoyed their entire life. They didn't do anything. They were dancing and drinking and only entertainment, nothing else. Okay, so they grew old little by little, and one day the Supreme Buddha saw this couple. So by this time they had completely spent their entire wealth on entertainment, and they had even lost their house. Okay, so they were on the street by now.
Okay,
they were
bankrupted completely.
Exactly, they were beggars. Okay, so when the Supreme Buddha saw this couple, again the Supreme Buddha smiled. Okay, and when the Supreme Buddha smiled, Venerable Ananda asked Bhante, why did you smile? And then the Supreme Buddha replied, Ananda, did you see that couple? He said, yes, I saw them. The Supreme Buddha said, Ananda, if these two, they got ordained when they were young, they actually had the opportunity to understand the Dhamma. If they got ordained at least in their middle age, they had the opportunity to understand the Dhamma and escape from suffering. But now they're old, and now they have lost that merit that they got to understand the Dhamma. So they lost it. So you can see the ability to understand the merit that we have. The merit we have is fading away little by little, and so the more you procrastinate, the more you put it off, the more you lose the ability to make use of it.
You go away from understanding Dhamma.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
That actually brings me to the last part of today's discussion or today's program. Now that we have this rare moment, and we all can be happy at least at this moment, but how do we get the best out of this rare moment, and how can we really build a security around us?
Absolutely. I think it's very important that we know at least how to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Really, the Supreme Buddha explains the only way to secure this opportunity is to enter the path to Dhamma. Okay, so if you enter the path to Dhamma, that is the Noble Eightfold Path, the Noble Eightfold Path is known as the straight path. So the straight path means there are no detours, there are no junctions where you have to turn. It's a straight path that leads completely, directly to Nibbana, true happiness. So the only way to secure this opportunity is to enter that path. If you enter that path, you'll never go off. Okay, so entering that path, the first step is to becoming a stream entrant. It's known as Sotapanna. Sotapanna means becoming a stream entrant. So stream entrant is not a magical thing. It's simply understanding the reality of life. That's
as
what
is,
as it is, exactly. That's what being Sotapanna means. So the Supreme Buddha explains, if you become a Sotapanna disciple, then you will only be born in this samsara to a maximum of 7 lives.
Okay.
Within these 7 lives, without a doubt, you will escape from suffering. And the other thing is, if you become a Sotapanna, you'll never be born in bad worlds again. So you don't have to be worried that you'll be born as an animal, that you'll be born in the ghost world or in the hell world. You'll never be born in those bad worlds. You'll only be born in good worlds for those 7 lives. You understand? So becoming Sotapanna means you actually form a pleasant mind about the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. Okay, so if you become a Sotapanna disciple, you have won.
Yes.
Okay, you have jumped the hardest obstacle. Do you understand?
Yes,
So the Supreme Buddha explains, if you become a Sotapanna, then one day the Supreme Buddha asked the bhikkhus or bhikkhus, is this Vepulla mountain bigger, or are these 7 stones more? And so the bhikkhus replied saying, Bhante, Venerable Sir, the Vepulla mountain is so large compared to these little 7 stones. So the Supreme Buddha explained to the monks, they were bhikkhus, if someone becomes a Sotapanna disciple, a stream entrant disciple, the amount of suffering that he abandoned is like this Vepulla mountain. The amount of suffering that he has to face is like these 7 stones.
That much less.
Exactly, that much less. So you get rid of such a heavy amount of suffering. You understand? So the problem is, to become a stream entrant is not very easy.
Absolutely.
In fact, for you to understand this, one day the Supreme Buddha said, because suppose there's someone living for 100 years and someone comes and says, in those 100 years, every single day, every morning, every afternoon and every evening, you're going to be struck with 100 spears. So imagine how much suffering that would cost you.
Yeah, how painful.
How painful it would be, right? However, at the end of those 100 years, so you'd be suffering for the 100 years with 300 strikes of spears every single day. However, that person comes and say, after those 100 years, you will become a stream entrant. You'll come to the breakthrough to the 4 Noble Truths. If someone comes and gives you such an offer, a clansman, someone who's intent on his good, should accept that offer.
Should go for it.
Should go for it, because the Supreme Buddha explains, because the reason is we have been traveling in such a long journey of samsara, and in that journey, the amount of strikes of spears that we have gotten,
it's countless.
Exactly, is immeasurable. So if someone comes and gives you that offer that after 100 years, even though you have to suffer so much, you'll actually become a stream entrant, take that offer.
That is yet better than going through the samsara.
Exactly. And it actually shows how difficult it is to become a stream entrant. And so Buddha explains, understanding the Dhamma you shouldn't understand the Dhamma to get suffering. You must understand the Dhamma to find happiness. Exactly, and to end suffering. So that's just an example to show that it's not easy to become a stream entrant. It's not easy, but that's what we must do. So really, to become a stream entrant, we must have merit. If we don't have merit, we cannot understand the Dhamma. So that's why, as those who are listening, what you must at least try to do then is, in this moment that you're actually getting to hear the Dhamma, you must try to collect merit as much as you can. So giving alms and protecting precepts and developing meditation and making offerings to shrines and all those things. So as much as you can, you must collect merit, because merit is really what brings happiness to your life. And little by little, when that merit accumulates, our lives will become more and more meritorious, and there will come a time where where we'll have enough merit to understand the Dhamma, and at that moment we'll actually be able to understand the Dhamma. We'll actually be able to become a stream entrant. As you know, those who had merit during the Supreme Buddha's time, they are the ones who became Arhants. They are the ones who became Sotapanna disciples. They are the ones who understood Dhamma and escaped from suffering. So at a time like this, where it's quite difficult to understand the Dhamma, as you can see, sometimes we listen to the Dhamma so much, but we can't understand it, right? Because the reason is we don't have enough wisdom. And so even that wisdom is brought to us through merit. If we have merit, we are wise. So that's why, as listeners, you must try to understand. You must try to collect merit as much as you can, and direct your mind towards being born in the heavenly world. That's actually very important. In fact, our most venerable teacher these days always reminds us of it, that to collect merit and direct your mind on being born in a heavenly world, like Tusita or Nimanarati. Because the reason being, as I mentioned before, as time passes by, this Dhamma is going to disappear. So if you're born in the human world again, when you're born at that time, there will be no Dhamma. It'll be those people holding wrong views and ideas and beliefs who are ruling the world. So people will be asking you to kill, and they will say, oh, killing is good. And so you'll accept it, because you don't have any other choice. So that's why in the future the human world is only going to deteriorate. However, if we go into if we go into the heavenly world, there are devas who have practiced the Dhamma, who are teaching the Dhamma.
Who can help us as well.
Exactly. So when we actually get to hear the Dhamma there, we can develop our path further. So really, the main thing you must try to do is collect merit and try to at least be born in the heavenly world, because then you can actually have some security in life, if you can't become a stream entrant in this life.
Absolutely. That gives us some comfort that there is hope, and at the same time that we can only be secured by becoming a stream enterer. That is the only way of getting a complete security, and there is no other way. So that actually brings us to the end of today's program. We would like to transfer all the merits that we collected to you, Marian Mahansa, for sharing the Dhamma knowledge with us. We will see you next time. Namo Buddhaya.